Merlin and the Fae's Challenge Act 3. Breaking the spell. One fateful evening, after weeks of effort, Merlin stood by the lake, his shoulders weary, but his resolve unbroken. The spirit emerged from the water, her presence as ethereal as ever.
"You have given so much, great wizard,"
she said softly.
"but to truly free me, you must give a part of yourself, a human heart to make me whole."
Merlin hesitated, for he knew the cost. Sharing his heart would bind him to her, not merely in love, but in essence. Yet, as he looked into her eyes, he understood that this was not just a quest, it was a test of his deepest humanity. With quiet determination, Merlin raised his staff, the sapphire brooch gleaming with a soft, pulsating light. He whispered an incantation that would weave his essence with hers, sharing his heart so that she might step onto dry land. As the spell took hold, the spirit shimmered, her watery form solidifying into flesh and blood. For the first time, she stood upon the shore, her feet touching the earth, her eyes wide with wonder.
"I am free,"
she whispered, tears glistening like morning dew. Merlin's heart was lighter, yet he felt the weight of what he had given. The two stood in silence, the lake rippling gently behind them, bound not by magic, but by a shared sacrifice. For a time, the spirit lived beside Merlin, her form as solid and real as the world around them. She marveled at her newfound humanity, the sensation of grass beneath her feet, the warmth of the sun upon her skin. Yet as days turned to weeks, her gratitude began to fade. The bond that tethered her to Merlin, the shared heart, was both a blessing and a curse. She resented it. Though her freedom was granted by Merlin's sacrifice, the price was too steep for her pride to bear. She did not love him, nor did she desire the constant presence of his essence within her. It was a reminder of her dependence, a shadow cast over her newfound existence. One evening, as the moon rose high above the lake, the spirit stood in her chamber, her eyes cold and calculating. Merlin sat nearby, his face serene as he read from an ancient tome. Yet even in his calm, he felt it, the flicker of malice within the heart he had shared.
"You are troubled,"
Merlin said without looking up. The spirit turned to him, her voice sweet but laced with venom.
"I wish to be free of you, Merlin, truly free."
Merlin's hand was still on the page. He met her gaze, and in that moment, he understood. Through the bond of their shared heart, he felt her intent as clearly as his own thoughts. She sought to destroy him, to sever the tie that bound them, even if it meant taking his life.
"I gave you freedom,"
Merlin said quietly.
"but it seems I gave you too much."
A smile was cold.
"You gave me a piece of yourself, wizard, and now I will take the rest."
She raised her hands, weaving a spell of immense power, her voice rising in an incantation that shimmered with malice. But Merlin, ever the cunning sorcerer, was prepared. He had felt this betrayal coming, a storm brewing beneath her calm exterior. As she chanted her spell, so too did Merlin begin his own. His words were softer, quieter, but no less potent. He drew upon the ancient magic of transformation, invoking the power to escape not just her wrath, but the very bond they shared. If he could no longer trust her with his heart, then he would take himself far beyond her reach. As her spell reached its crescendo, so did his. The air crackled with energy, and in an instant, a brilliant flash of light filled the room. When the light faded, the spirit stood alone, her spell having struck nothing but empty air. She looked around, her fury mounting, until her eyes fell upon a small figure, scurrying toward the shadows. A mouse, no larger than her palm, darted away, its fur glinting faintly with a sapphire hue. It was Merlin, freed from the bond of their shared heart, his magic having transformed him into a creature too small and swift to be caught. The spirit screamed in frustration, her voice echoing through the hall, but it was too late. Merlin was gone, slipping into the vast and shifting corridors of the Hall of Shadows and Time. Humility and the reclamation of his self-worth is all Merlin could think about. I am enough to be truly loved for myself and not just for what I have.